Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the Sejong Youth Forum. My name is Dongri, and it's an honor to meet you here.
Hello everyone, my name is Gyo-jin. It is a privilege to greet you at the opening ceremony of the Sejong Youth Forum today. We are at the media lounge of the Sejong Community Media Center.
Summer break is here in Korea from this week as we have finished up the first semester of school. Are you all excited ready to enjoy summer vacation? I believe summer vacation has already started in other countries. Is that right? It is a great pleasure to meet you all online as well as on site. Shall we wave and greet each other? Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Before we begin, I would like to express my special welcome to our guests from New Taipei City Government, Yu Ting-lin, the Division Chief, Angus Liu, the Executive Officer, and Adam Lean, the Division Head. We appreciate your attention to the Sejong Youth Forum. Thank you. Meanwhile, this forum is celebrating its second anniversary this year. Our Planet Matters is the theme, and we have over 300 students in attendance.
During this forum, we will share our thoughts on how young people can come together to address environmental issues and take action for a future society.
Have you ever heard the quote, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children"? In the face of ongoing climate change, which has now become a climate crisis, I think we can all agree that there is not much time left for us to get everything back to normal.
I hope that the Sejong Youth Forum will serve as a dynamic venue for all of us to learn from each other, get inspired, and share our voices.
Then, we officially announce the opening of the 2022 Sejong Youth Forum.
The forum will kick off with welcoming remarks by Mr. Choi, Gyo-jin, the Governor of Sejong City Office of Education.
여러분 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. 뜻깊은 자리에 함께 해주신 세종시와 해외의 청소년 여러분을 진심으로 환영합니다. 지난 2년간 전 세계를 휩쓴 코로나 때문에 우리는 매우 힘든 시기를 견뎌야 했습니다. 숨을 쉬고 친구를 만나고 학교에 다닐 수 있는 일상의 평화가 얼마나 소중한 것인지 알게 되었고, 우리 가족과 이웃, 나아가 저 멀리 다른 나라에 사는 이들과 함께하는 공존하는 삶이 얼마나 소중한 것인지 깨달을 수 있었습니다. 특히 소중한 우리 지구를 위해 세계 시민으로서 행동해야 한다는 단순하지만 명쾌한 진실을 우리는 깨닫게 되었습니다. 친애하는 청소년 여러분, 이제 우리는 일상으로 돌아왔지만 단순히 이전의 상태로 돌아간 것은 아닙니다. 우리는 새로운 시작의 출발점에 서 있습니다. 우리 지구를 소중히 하는 마음을 한데 모아서 국제사회 안에서 서로 소통하고 협력해야 합니다. 청소년도 우리 지구촌의 주민이기 때문에 연대하고 함께 실천할 수 있는 일이 있다면 매우 적극적으로 동참해야 합니다. 올해로 2회를 맞는 세종국제청소년포럼을 통해서 우리 모두가 지구 공동체의 주인으로서 지구촌의 환경 문제에 대해 주체적으로 고민하고 함께 실천할 방안을 찾아보게 되어서 기쁘게 생각합니다. 환경 재난의 시대에 어린이와 청소년은 기후변화의 영향을 가장 많이 받게 될 세대이기 때문에 조금 더 적극적으로 자신의 목소리를 내야 합니다. 청소년 여러분, 전 지구적으로 닥친 환경 재난의 문제는 선택이 아닌 모든 세대가 감당해야 하는 기본적인 책무이고, 우리의 지속적인 행동을 통한 실천이 무엇보다 중요합니다. 그런 점에서 세종국제청소년포럼은 여러분의 생각을 공유하고 고민을 나누고 결론을 도출할 수 있는 좋은 기회가 될 것입니다. 영국의 동물학자이자 환경운동가인 제인 구달은 모든 개인은 소중하며 그 한 사람 한 사람은 사회에서 변화를 만들어낼 수 있는 중요한 인물이다. 이렇게 말했습니다. 세종국제청소년포럼에 참가해 주신 모든 청소년 여러분이 이번 포럼을 통해 삶에 대한 태도와 지향점을 새롭게 설정하는 계기가 되었으면 좋겠습니다. 우리 지구는 소중하고 우리 모두는 변화를 만들어낼 중요한 사람들이니까요. 우리의 작지만 힘찬 한 걸음이 새로운 공존과 상생의 시대를 여는 밑거름이 될 것을 믿어 의심치 않습니다. 여러분 다시 한번 환영하고 고맙습니다.
Thank you, Mr. Choi. Next, we would like to welcome Mr. Han Kyungkoo, Secretary General of the Korean National Commission for UNESCO. Mr. Han will give a congratulatory speech.
Young global citizens from all around the world, distinguished guests, good morning and welcome to you all. May I begin by expressing my heartfelt congratulations to the Sejong Office of Education for holding the Sejong Youth Forum 2022. This event is an important one. According to the report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, we have barely 3 years left to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. Failure to do so would be a failure to secure our future, since the climate crisis will affect us in many ways, some of which we cannot even yet predict, but one of which is likely to be a food crisis that puts the global community in considerable danger. There are 3 systematic pillars of climate change: biodiversity, climate, and the oceans. The environment is a complex system in which the diversity of living organisms, climate, and the oceans interact occasionally in ways beyond our expectations. It is therefore important that we consider the climate crisis from an integrative perspective, and I would like to ask you to think about how you can develop this kind of perspective as you participate in the forum. Last year, UNESCO, the leading UN agency in the fields of education, science, and culture, hosted the World Conference on Education for Sustainable Development and launched ESD for 2030, a global framework that emphasizes the role of education in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. It calls for young people to step up as main agents of transformation, to lead global partnerships and tackle challenges with creative solutions. The Korean National Commission for UNESCO also puts youth in the heart of our work on activities for sustainable development. I hope this forum takes you a step further in taking action for the future. As the theme of this forum says, our planet matters. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Han. Next, we would like to present a congratulatory message and performance. Julian Quintard has sent us a congratulatory message on the opening of the Sejong Youth Forum.
Then, Stereo, the guitar ensemble, will play celebratory music.
모두 안녕하세요. 벨기에에서 온 환경 사랑하는 줄리안 퀸타르트입니다. 이번에 제2회 된 우리 세종국제청소년포럼 개최 진심으로 축하드립니다. 세종과 또 해외 협력 학교들의 청소년들이 함께 우리 소중한 지구를 위한 생각도 나누고 그리고 다양한 체험할 수 있다고 하니까 정말로 유익하고 재미있는 날들 될 것 같습니다. 국제 시민으로서 우리 해야 될 것 되게 많죠. 뭐 기후 위기에 대한 대응이라거나 그리고 생태계 보호, 또 기압 문제, 또 해결 뭐 등등 많을 텐데 이런 문제들은 혼자 해결할 수 없겠죠. 함께 연대해서 해결에 나서야 되는데 세종에서는 이 국제 청소년 포럼이 지구적 협력 될 수 있도록 청소년들이 먼저 행동에 나선다고 하니까 정말로 된다는 것 같습니다. 2022년 세종 국제청소년 포럼 해외 참가 학생들과 소중한 우정도 많이 맺고 그렇지만 또 우리 지구 위한 생각 또 잊지 말았으면 좋겠습니다. 제가 줄리안도 열심히 응원하겠습니다. 감사합니다. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for that wonderful performance. My fellow youths and distinguished guests, there are a total of 100 elementary, middle, and high schools in Sejong. Did you know that 37 of them are working on different global collaboration projects with overseas schools on topics such as the environment, human rights, peace, and so on?
It's true. There are 37 schools in Sejong currently partnering with 47 schools in 13 other countries for such projects. The overseas participants we meet today are also representative students of the schools that are working on these projects.
I see. I hope that such excellent collaboration projects will be continued through active exchanges at the class and school levels in various fields going forward. By the way, I heard that this forum will be held on an offline format from next year.
Yes, that's right. It'll be great when we meet in person here in Sejong, and I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Next, there will be a keynote speech by Mr. Ed Gillespie on the theme The Power of Impactful Choices.
If you would like to access interpretation in Korean, please click on the Zoom link provided on the forum page. Please welcome Mr. Ed Gillespie.
From England. So it's very early in the morning here, but it is an absolute pleasure to be joining you all for this short talk as part of your excellent event. So I'm going to be talking about the power of impactful choices and living a sustainable life. So I'm giving this talk to you from the UK, where we've just broken our national record temperatures, where it's just hit 40 degrees for the first time ever. And I've been reflecting on this because I just turned 50 years old, and 50 years ago was the world's first World Environment Day. Now, the theme of that was Only One Earth, and we've just revisited that same theme 50 years later, which unfortunately makes us ask some questions about what we have learnt over those last 50 years. And in some ways, it can feel like the planet is looking at us and saying, hey, I'm with stupid here, because these lessons are not landing very well. And one thing that the tragedy in Ukraine has really brought home to us is our interdependence, our interconnectedness, the fact that we are all in this together. Beyond the war, there are the implications for energy and food crises which are unfolding across the globe. Now, that can feel like the apocalypse, but I don't mean that in the end of the world sense. I mean that in the true root of the word, the drawing back of the veil, the revelation to see the world as it actually is and as it actually works, and in order to be able to try and do something about those problems. Now, my job as a futurist is not to predict and analyze existing trends, but it is to stretch the imagination of the possible, to try and imagine the better future we could bring ourselves to be in. And in order to do that, you have to listen. You have to listen to the real questions that the future is asking you, and the future is asking of you. And I talk at a lot of events. I spoke recently at a lawnmower conference. I get all the glamorous gigs. And this, my good friends, is a 125-mile-an-hour lawnmower. Now, I don't know what question these guys think the future is asking them, but I'm pretty sure it's not, where is my 125-mile-an-hour lawnmower? And so I want to talk to you today about three questions. I do a podcast with my fellow reluctant futurist Mark Stevenson on the right there, and British comedian John Richardson, called John Richardson and the Futurenauts. From Futurenauts, sail close to the winds of change. And in that podcast, we ask three questions. How in trouble are we? Why are we in trouble? And how do we get ourselves out of trouble? And I'm going to use that for the structure of my talk. So how in trouble are we? Well, the answer is big trouble. Unfortunately, we've gone on climate change from a sort of hard denial, saying it wasn't real, to a soft denial, saying, hey, it's probably real, but it's not us, to a moment of realization that it's really genuinely real, it's us, and we've got to do something about it. And if you haven't read the huge Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report, all 3,000 pages, it's quite clear. Humans are to blame. That is unequivocal. What we are doing is unprecedented. And indeed, some of those changes are unfortunately inevitable now. And indeed, some are even irreversible on human timescales. And it's only going to get hotter. We've added about 1.1 degrees since 1850. We're going to get 1.5 degrees by 2040, even in all the optimistic scenarios. The last 7 years have been the hottest on record. and we're heading way towards 2 degrees by the end of the century. The question is, how hot will we allow it to get? And this is extreme because the temperatures in some parts of the world, like here in Delhi, in India, are becoming so hot, it's hot enough to melt the tarmac on the streets. And when you combine that heat with high humidity, we get what scientists call the wet bulb effect, which means you are unable to sweat, and your sweat won't evaporate. And when you sweat, it's the evaporation of that sweat that cools you down. And so that means in humid heat waves, they could even kill healthy people in the shade. And about 1 in 3 people globally could be exposed to that heat stress now, and then maybe 3/4 of us by the end of the century. Plus, when you put all this extra energy into the system, the weather gets more violent. So you get all of the extremes, more heat waves, intensive cyclones, increased local rainfall, more droughts and longer fire seasons. And why this is so critical is because if you look at where our policies and actions currently take us, the blue band, it's somewhere between 2.5 and 3 degrees. And the green band is where we need to be for the Paris Agreement, the 1.5 degree target. And you can see there's a 20 gigaton ambition gap that we have to close pretty much by the end of this decade, in the next 8 years. So Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, put it very simply: delay is death. But it's not just carbon and climate change, it's also biodiversity. We've wiped out about 60% of all mammals, birds, fish and reptiles since 1970. That's in my lifetime. We've removed about 75% of our insects over the last 25 years. And also it's being driven by our appetites. So livestock agriculture generates about 18% of global carbon, which is more than all transport combined. So every bus, plane, train, tuk-tuk, cargo ship only generates about 15% of global carbon, less than livestock agriculture. And it's because we've basically turned the planet into our larder, our pantry, with the vast majority of mammals and birds in the world being the ones that we eat. And that sort of industrialization of agriculture has had a huge impact, both in terms of carbon and in terms of biodiversity loss. So in some respects, the depressing news is this is not the 6th mass extinction event, it's the first extermination event, because we are completely clear about what we are doing. We are consciously walking into this mess. So we need to think about our challenges as a series of waves. We've had the COVID-19 wave, we have an economic recession coming behind that, plus climate change, plus biodiversity collapse. And it's going to require us to do some serious surfing together. Because at the moment, as the cartoon shows, the old gentleman here is saying, yes, the planet got destroyed, but for a beautiful moment in time, we created a lot of value for shareholders. And unfortunately, that rings true. So why are we in this mess? How do we get into this trouble? Well, partly it's to do with what scientists call the Great Acceleration. And you can see all of these graphs go very steep, go exponential, around about the same point, 1950. So it doesn't matter whether we look at world population in the top left-hand corner or energy consumption, they all go vertical around about 1950. And that's because, as Professor Johan Rockström says, the planet is starting to send back invoices to the economy. And we haven't shifted the mix. The problem we have is that actually, whilst we've been growing things like renewable energy, we haven't been reducing global energy demand. So all of our renewable energy is additional to the existing use of fossil fuels. It hasn't displaced any of the fossil fuels, which means even in the teeth of this climate crisis, we're still burning more fossil fuels than ever before. And it's not about population, it's really about consumption, with half of those global carbon emissions by lifestyle produced by 10% of the global population. So the richer you are, unfortunately, the bigger your carbon footprint. And as they say in the movie Fight Club, we buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like, who largely don't care. And that's the sort of hedonic materialist treadmill we can get caught on. We're also damaging the world in order to produce food that we don't eat. About somewhere between a third and a half of the food we produce never reaches a human stomach. And all of this pressure on nature also increases the likelihood of more zoonotic diseases like COVID-19, which jump species from animals into humans. And you can see the list of those on the right-hand side. So SARS, MERS, Zika, HIV, even Ebola, all of these viruses which have jumped species from humans into animals. And a new one of those occurs about every 4 months. So we need to be very honest with ourselves about this uncomfortable truth that we currently face. And you may have seen the movie on Netflix, Don't Look Up, where they're talking about an asteroid coming out of space with threatening to destroy the planet. And it really, climate change is very similar to this, as they describe in that film. We really need to do something much more ambitious and much more radical. So many people say legally this is like a form of willful blindness, you know, where we refuse to look at the problem in the eye, where we actually confront it properly. And willful blindness is actually a legal principle, where you're responsible if you could, or indeed should have known something you chose not to see. And this is system change, because as Yvonne Chouinard from Patagonia said, there is no such thing as a sustainable company in an unsustainable world. We need to change together. So it's a moment to look in the mirror and not to see Narcissus, a form of self-love, the Greek god who fell in love with his own reflection and drowned in the pool as a result, but to see catharsis, to be honest and confront our challenges and our responsibilities, and then to change. So how do we get out of this trouble? Let's finish on a positive and upbeat note, hopefully. Well, mainly, and you will know this as young people with the future in front of you, the power of our imaginations is what is going to get us through this. The ability to ask, what if, to imagine a very different future. And as the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says, the best way to get protection from climate chaos is through addressing inequality in all its forms, whether that's financial, gender, ethnic, disability, age, location, whatever. Inequality and tackling that is one of our best solutions, because a more equitable world will be a more climate safe world. We also have to speak out, as you guys are doing today, to break what the Italian mafia call a omerta, the code of silence. These conversations have to be had at every level now in order to deliver this transformation. Because our destination is agreed, the road to net zero is starting to unfold in front of us. And that destination is something we can all come together on. But it's just how fast we get there that's up for debate. Because our culture and economy is essentially degenerative at the moment. Sustainability is like a stepping stone on the pathway to a regenerative future, where we have to build back our natural capital and our ecological capital. So the past is history. Where we are now is a sticking plaster, and really that regenerative future is the only viable future. And that regenerative mindset calls for a move away from the extractive business models of today, and to embrace the ability of all living beings and ecosystems to regenerate, replenish, and create the conditions for more life. And that begins with the simplest things like recycling, where nature produces nothing which doesn't already have a recycling system in place, and we need to learn from that. And that is not just about recycling itself, it's about designing the waste out of the system wherever we can. Waste prevention is the #1 priority before we get into reuse and recycling. And we will also see what we hope to in the form of clean energy superpower, where we move to electricity grids which are primarily powered by solar and wind and using batteries. And the amazing emergent effect of the radical efficiency of those systems means that if we increase the capital investment into those by 20%, we can double the output of the electricity that is produced. And it's also going to be about our behaviors. There's a brilliant initiative in the UK called The Jump, which is about basically less stuff, more joy, less of the material, impactful things in our lives, and more of the joy and pleasures and satisfaction and the root of true happiness that we get from connection, collaboration, and cooperation. And there's very simple 6 behaviors that they encourage through the jump. That's ending clutter, keeping your products like your phones for 7 years. I know that feels like almost impossible right now, but imagine it. Traveling fresh, so walking and cycling and using public transport and not using your car or not owning a car, ideally, if you possibly can. It's about eating green, eating mainly plant-based. It's about dressing retro, only allowing yourself 3 new items of clothing per year. Holidaying locally wherever you can, with only 1 flight every 3 years and at least 1 big shift to nudge the system. So changing your bank account, changing your investments, making sure that you're also having that systemic effect. And the good thing is the jump is calculated as producing or delivering up to 25% of the carbon emissions reductions we need by 2030. So lifestyle behavior changes really do matter. And this is about us coming together as citizens, not consumers. We are citizens first, and we need to remember our connected potential to transform things together. And this will hopefully lead us into the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, where the aim is to protect 30% of the land and the oceans by 2030, that 30 by 30 campaign. And some even go further than that and say we should be protecting half the world for nature, which seems like a fairly equitable and fair state of affairs to me. Because ultimately the planet doesn't want to be saved. It's not about saving the planet. It's not about changing or rescuing the planet. Our planet needs to be loved. It needs to be appreciated, and we need to be grateful for the beautiful gifts that it gives us every day. And in some respects, the sci-fi writer William Gibson has it right. He said, the future's out there. It's just not evenly distributed yet. All of the solutions, technical and the financial ones, already exist. We just have to roll them out at scale and at pace. Unfortunately, in some respects, also the collapse is already out there, as we see, for example, through the fires which are raging around the world in these superheated weeks. So in conclusion, there's only 2 types of organization, I think, that face the future now. There's those who are brave and courageous and can see the future that could be created. And there are those that are dead, that are putting the brakes on change and trying to stop the pace of this transformation. Because building back to normal is a bit like Darth Vader in Star Wars saying that the construction of our new Death Star is an amazing job creation opportunity. Yes, it is Darth, but it kills planets. So all of our investments of time or money that don't put human health or environment at the center are not investments. They're actually a theft from our common future. And these are difficult truths, but as my colleague at the Forward Institute, Margaret Heffernan, says, the truth won't set us free until we develop the skills, the habits, the talent, but most importantly, the moral courage to use it. And it's moral courage that is going to get us through this change. Because we like to think change happens nice and slowly and gradually in manageable curves, what evolutionary biologists call phyletic gradualism, but actually it's much more like punctuated equilibria. Very long periods of stability followed by short periods of very rapid change. And we are in one of those short periods of rapid change now. So my favorite Tibetan Buddhist quote is, the wise learn from the past, but the brave learn from the future. The brave can see the future that is waiting to be born and are rushing with energy, enthusiasm, and creativity to help birth that better future. And this is a move away from a sort of ego-led approach where we see humanity at the top of the pile in a kind of instrumental and utilitarian fashion to an eco approach, which is more ecocentric, which at least puts us back into the web approach of life, where we see humanity, something we call seva, which is in service to. And that is where we need to be. And the best thing about all of this in living this impactful life is that the life that is good for you is also good for the planet. So if you eat, move, and live better. It will lead to longer, healthier, happier lives for us, and it will also help us to love our one and only planet. And we've learned through COVID and all of the challenges we face right now that none of us are safe until all of us are safe. We genuinely are in this together. It can feel like all of this is impossible, but you, my youthful friends around the world, have the capacity to create these changes. And right now, only the impossible is interesting. And I wish you luck with all my heart for where we all go next together. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the inspiring speech, Mr. Gillespie. As we know, the Sustainable Development Goals were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 and aim to provide a blueprint for peace and security for all people and the planet. In recent years, the UN has encouraged organizations and governments to align their missions with the SDGs in order to promote awareness. As Mr. Ed Gillespie pointed out, we need to be aware of how to become more sustainable and put it into practice in our daily lives.
I couldn't agree more.
Now, a group discussion will be held on how we can incorporate various actions into our lives. Group 1 panelists and participants are asked to remain here, and the members of the Group 2 and 3 are requested to click on the Zoom link provided in advance.
Other participants can also observe the discussions, so please stay with us.
The discussion session will begin right now. We should say goodbye to you here. We will see you at the closing ceremony on Friday, which is tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Korean Standard Time.
We will see you then. Thank you.
Could you please give a thumbs up if you can hear me? Thumbs up, okay, great. So hello group one. My name is Allison. I will be leading the discussion for our group. So we just listened to Mr. Ed Gillespie from Greenpeace talk about living a sustainable life. So let's further discuss some of the main themes from his speech. So for question number 1, what was one memorable part of the keynote speech that really resonated with you?
Hi. Hi. Is it okay to say my opinion?
Yes, of course. Please share your opinion about the speech.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sejong Lee, and my memorable part was he said that we have to hear the real questions of the future and the environment are asking to us. Through this, I once again realized that the fate of Earth is crucially dependent on what choice we make. Also, I came to realize that humans are very closely connected to the Earth's environment. If we just live the way as we have lived today, for example, in the current situation where we abuse energy and produce a lot of waste according to the capitalist society, the negative consequences of this will return to humans like a boomerang. Therefore, I think that. Okay. Hi. Therefore, I thought that being sustainable is what makes our lives stable in the end. So what I thought the impactful choice is to choose something that's not the way we've been living today. We have to change our lifestyles completely. For example, it can be abandoning a growth first economic policies and forming a habit of saving energy society. These things will eventually preserve the global environment and allow us to continue our lives stable and for a long time. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Sam. That was a great start to our discussion. Thank you. I think you made some really excellent points. In particular, I really liked that you used the boomerang analogy. I thought that was a very great way to kind of describe everything that he talked about in his speech. So thank you very much, Sam. That was a great start. Who else would like to share? Maybe could we have Karen? Would you like to share your opinions on the speech?
Hello, I am. You guys can hear me, right? All right, thanks. I'm Karen. I'm from Malaysia. There were many parts of this speech that I found inspiring, and a lot of it resonated with me. I think the part that probably resonated with me the most was when he really tried to when he explained how we could get out from all of these climate change. I think I really like the phyletic gradualism and punctuated equilibria reference. I thought that it was very accurate to how our average humanity thinking is like. We assume that it's something you can do gradually, but frankly, it's better if you just go straight to the problem and do it right ahead. I thought that was very nice. It really resonated with me. It honestly made me realize how we should really step up. We should really do the work instead of planning and delaying it over and over again. We could just go ahead and help out with climate change. Stop it. That's probably about it from me. Yeah.
All right, Karen, thank you for sharing. Great input. Let's see, let's move over to maybe Abhay. Abhay, could you share, please, your thoughts on the speech? Thank you.
I resonate with the fact that climate change is one of the factors which is dangerous for our planet. As Ed Gillespie say that Delhi has been recognized as one of the most hottest polluted cities. Like I live in Delhi, and as you all know, it is one of the most polluted and hottest cities of the world. Its temperature often rises to 40 or 42 degrees Celsius. A large portion of human fault in this process. Certainly, our Earth must be saying that I am sheltering some fool kind, which is us, the mankind who are destroying their own habitat. Living in Delhi gets us a feeling of hell as it's too hot here during the summer months. Main cause is global warming due to the excessive use of automobiles and refrigerants. We need to remember that this is our planet, and the only one who can protect our planet is us. As Sir Gillespie said, that our Earth don't want us to save or rescue it. It wants us to love it, and that's what we should do, and that's what we are ought to do. There's no need to do a quick change, as it takes time for the attitude of the people to change. But a change which is being taken place gradually, slowly, and also together by the mankind could bring a huge difference in the environment and can help it last hundreds of years. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you for sharing your experience. We're going to come back and talk more about how climate change is affecting our own locations. So thank you for mentioning where you're living and your situation with, it being a really hot city. We'll talk more about that later. So thank you for mentioning it in advance. Let's pop on over to Minami. Could you share, please, your thoughts on the speech?
Yes, it was really excellent speech, and I have several good points that resonate with me. First, learning from past is really important to know the future events that could happen. If we apply some solutions that we have now, and also it's really important to reduce our consumption, as you could know that there is 30 to 50% of foods that have not get to our stomach yet. It's really crucial. We need to reduce our consumption of, and especially food. Yes, that's for me.
Yes, thank you. That part was really resonating with me, the part about the percentage of food that does not reach us. It's kind of amazing how much food we waste. It's kind of incredible. Okay, let's move on over to Inez. Could you share, please?
Oh, yes. The most memorable was a speech from the, I'm sorry, it is the, the most memorable was a speech from the Ministry of the Environment. He said that reforestation in the environment would help and make an important contribution nature. So I think even the smaller greenery like we sorry that they cannot say we buy things we don't need with money. We don't have to impress people we don't like. That was memorable for me. Thank you.
Yes, we heard a lot about focusing on humanity and the environment. We don't need to buy extra. We don't need to impress people that maybe we don't like so much. I thought that was a great key point. And let's move on over to Irmak. Irmak, could you please share your opinion?
Of course, like pretty much what the other panelists said that actually the point about the presentation that has caught my attention more was the how to say that the men just gave up some many pictures, some many quotes that actually makes us see the slogans, and then apparently he just linked them with some arguments that we see in the community. For instance, like hard denial, soft denial, and oops, there's climate change. And apart from that, there was just some how to say, for instance, willful blindness and what if and ometa and stuff. So the thing is that, for instance, when people don't believe that there's climate change, they just prove it. See, there's some snow. I mean, like, so, like showing that there's snow, there's rain, there's sun, actually does not give arguments about there is no climate change and stuff. However, people actually try to believe it because of like not stupidity, but willful blindness, I think, because believing that the future is great, believing that there is nothing as nothing such climate change makes you how to say live more perhaps I don't know. So there are just these problems and critics in the world, and the presentation I just listened was quite how to say creative, and I liked it.
Yes, thank you for sharing your opinion. I also thought that sharing the different visuals and the different logos with the quotes was a really effective way to convey all the information and also link it with arguments, as you mentioned. I wanted to come back to the point that you just said about willful blindness. I thought that was a great phrase that he used in the presentation, and it links really well to our next question, which I will read aloud. The Sustainable Development Goals were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 and aim to provide a blueprint for peace and security for all people and the planet. In recent years, the UN has encouraged organizations and governments to align their missions with the SDGs in order to promote awareness. So our question is, in your view, what are some of the challenges or barriers that are preventing people from achieving sustainable development? So what are some things that are holding us back, whether it is financial, social, things according to time? What are some things that you think are holding us back, barriers or challenges that we're facing? Is there anyone who would like to go first? Okay, yes, Suyan, I will pass the mic to you.
Hey, thank you. Well, I came up with 3 obstacles. The first one is human selfishness. Human selfishness leads to the lack of connection between people. This phenomenon can create a NIMBY effect and became an obstacle to international solidarity for the environment. And also the second one is about the monopoly of wealth. In particular, companies are only interested in increasing capital, and there are many companies that are not very interested in social equality, the gap between rich and the poor, and also the environmental issues. This comes from the company's selfish attitude for trying to multiply profits and wealth without trying to solve people's poverty or cleaning up nature. And third and last is the principle of the nation's interest first. Excessive national priority causes countries to be bent on hindering solidarity and creating only their own profits and interests. This not only hinders the realization of international peace, but also I think it hinders the achievement of sustainable goals. Thank you.
Yes, excellent. Very thorough, very well-argued answer. Would anyone else like to add on to that? Would anyone else like to go, or should I pick the next person to participate? Yes, Minami, please answer.
Yes, I think we have 2 facts that are just preventing us from achieving these goals. First, I'd like to say develop technology. For example, the internet or computer, phone, or other energy and electricity use, because in this convenient life that is already developed, we can't, though we're trying to reduce our consumption of electricity and energy, but we can't just reduce them because we are now they're just necessary for our life. And as for 2, promoted sanitation and health. For example, we feel really unclean without plastic package of straw, foods or spoon, and also reusable or bags or like that. It's really unclean for some people, and then so it's just preventing us from attacking more and more to the development goals.
Yes, I definitely agree with everything that you said, especially technology. Our lives are very convenient. It is a bit of an obstacle to try to give up some of these things that would be in the best interest for environmental sustainability. Totally agree with you. Would anyone else like to speak next? Karen, would you like to share?
All right. First of all, I think the previous two panelists were really, really thorough, and I agree with all of them. I would just like to just relate this to the speakers on, at Gillespie's speech about willful blindness. That is a very accurate thing, I believe. We're all in denial. I think we all feel like we still have a long way to go and that climate change is not a big deal. So that is probably one of the few reasons we deny everything. We deny the actual fact, we deny the truth, just so it will be more convenient for us. And aside from that, we're also I mean, personally, I think we're probably a bit lazy. We are not willing to go the extra mile, not willing to just throw our rubbish into the right recycling bin, etc. And I think that's part of the reason why climate change is just increasing. And another obstacle I think we're facing currently in the current situation, I would think is because of COVID. And financially, we're not all countries are trying their best to be better financially now. It's been 2 years, but it's still a stepping stone. It's a lot of time and energy required. That possibly is one of the obstacles, but I also feel like that is not exactly a good excuse in the sense that we should also be prepared. Like earlier mentioned, the quote, wise learn from past and something learn from future, we should see ahead. So that is probably another reason humanity is not looking ahead. And that concludes my part of the sharing.
Yes, great. Thank you. Wow, I'm hearing a lot of great answers. This is going very well. Great job, you guys. Let's pass the mic over to Irmak. Could you please share?
Yep. So pretty much, like a lot of things were mentioned, but for instance, there's this thing that matters too, like governance and also the cooperation of the countries and stuff. Because like taking actions and trying to how to say get all of these challenges and barriers itself are hard enough. And there's, for instance, a lot of what you call it, like protocols and some stuff. For instance, Kyoto Protocol, which were indeed signed by some countries, but weren't really, how to say, taken into action because like the demands that it was making for more green planet, the countries has to give up some of the benefits that they had in a local and traditional way of producing energy and stuff. So therefore, one of the things, it actually resembles greenwashing in a way. Like maybe you wouldn't know the term. It is some companies just how to say sports green planet and more renewable world, but indeed the products they use, or indeed indeed the way that they produce goods actually goes through the way of polluting world. So like a lot of countries try to get into agreements. However, it's kind of just, I think, in my opinion, is on paper more like. So, yep, cooperation and governance stuff also, I think, is a good addition to this. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for bringing up greenwashing. That's something, thank you for defining that for everyone. That's something I think will come into play in some of our later questions. So thank you for bringing it up in advance. Let's pass the mic over to Abhay. Would you like to answer?
Of course. Sustainable development, like it has been widely promoted as a holistic concept which aims to integrate the social, economic, and cultural policies to ensure high quality growth. However, there are some of the barriers which are combating the implementation of sustainable development. According to me, one of the reason is that lack of awareness towards sustainable development. if you ask me, much of the youth or the world has not even come across the term sustainable development. Like they don't even know what the term means. But programs like these, the events like these, which are conducted, it creates a sense of awareness in the mentality of the students like us, who could help their respective nations progress in the terms of sustainable development. Second reason, according to me, is the lack of human vision of the future. Like political and economic systems, they are just designed to see what is very close to our eyes. We do not tend to see what it might affect in the future. Like they have no interest in spending energy thinking about the future of human beings. One should act with senses, considering what damage they act might cause to others. Thank you.
Yes, that's why it's so important that we have programs like this, the Sejong Youth Forum. You know, the theme is Our Planet Matters, as global citizens, we're all in this together. So yes, totally agree that this is where, something we all have to do together and raise awareness about. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's do Inez. Would you like to wrap up our discussion for question number 2?
But excuse me, I would like to pray Duhur about 10 minutes. Can I?
Okay, yes, of course, of course.
Thank you so much.
Yes, no problem. All right, so let's move on to our next question.
Excuse me,
yes.
Before moving to the next question, can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, of course.
Like, for instance, Abai and many of you mentioned that we have to create some sort of awareness, but I would like to ask, in which way do you think, for instance, it may be giving some primary education to the students, or like in which ways do you think we can promote creating some awareness upon people? If you like to answer, of course.
Yes, anyone can choose to answer the question. Thank you for bringing up that point. Would anyone like to answer? Some ways that we can raise awareness? Yes.
I would like to give a try. All right, now that's a good question. In Malaysia, I think it applies to a lot of countries as well. We have something called Pendidikan Moral, which is basically just a subject that is allocated to learning moral stuff, like how to keep the environment good, how to be a moral person. I think schools should probably enforce these kinds of like subjects more often, and I think they should organize a few activities every month, programs, like go recycle, have a campaign, have speeches, etc., etc. And while doing so, they can do it in a fun way. They can do it in a competition, between classes. Like if this class recycles the most, they get a certain prize. We should do this more, etc., etc. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Oh, Sejong, you're still on mute. Could you unmute yourself, please?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, first, thank you for giving us a great questions. And especially in Korea, we have kind of a class and education to give students about the global awareness and also some kinds of SDGs goals. We learn them and we also try to make some solutions while having some kinds of education. And that can be the first answer for this question. And then the second one is about the social media. And I think many of you can do some Instagrams, Facebook. We can use some social media, which is very effective, and we can use some advertisements for people to increase their awareness about the environment and SDGs. Thank you.
Can I answer one?
Yes, please.
Yes, Ermac, thanks for questioning that point. It was really a great question, I think. And I think we can make some people motivated up themselves by make some situation that they can feel, this is greatly crucial. We need to solve these problems. So make people feel really crucial about these problems is really important to solve this problem.
Yes, Minami, thank you for sharing. Yes, Irmak, do you have something to add on to your question?
Yes, actually, the one of the reasons that I asked this question was, for instance, in my country, which is Turkey, like we don't actually we do have some kind of similar lessons throughout we grow. However, for instance, some climate activists and platforms that were, as Suyeon Lee has said, um, were how to say uh, not prepared much. And so that's the reason why for instance, an activists that are our age has created their own curricula and dictionaries actually for climate terms. And actually, they went to many primary schools, many other level of schools, grades, to promote it and actually teach it to the kids. So um, I haven't followed it up yet, so I don't know in which state it currently is, but I think it was a great attempt to consider. And one of the things that I think about awareness is just Minami mentioned, when people don't see what is going around, or when they don't feel actually what is there. For instance, a year ago, I think, or two, we had in Mucilagino Marmara Sea, which is quite important, how to say, agriculture and stuff. Uh, like, why to that is companies themselves were pouring a lot of trash, a lot of pollution to that sea. And like to the point that it came over the water and you could have seen how polluted it was. And then people noticed that there was something wrong, and they just there was just who to blame circle around it. So one thing is that until that they seen the sea was actually polluted, and the pollution was not how to say under but over, they started to think we should get into action. And the second one is, while trying to find who to blame, sometimes we forget to take action actually and leave it to the one to blame, I think. So thank you for answering the question. Basically, I had fun.
Yes, thank you again for bringing up such an insightful question. I think this dovetails nicely into our next question, which is, in your own country, is the concern for plastic high or an issue that should be dealt with at a later time? So let's please go around and share, where you're from and the situation about plastic in particular. Is this something that we're trying to address now in your country, or something that people seem to be putting off till later, or the government is putting off till a bit later? Please share your thoughts. Who would like to go first? I thought I saw a hand. Yes, Sian. Oh, actually, sorry. We have a new member who just recently joined the chat. So,
sorry, because
yes,
I
thank you.
had some internet problems, so I didn't join before. So, for this question, I think when going anywhere I'm from Taiwan, and honestly, when going anywhere in Taiwan, you can always see people hanging their breakfast or lunch with a plastic bag, and few people bring eco-friendly bag out. Not only plastic bags, but also plastic straws or plastic bowls are used commonly in every Taiwanese daily life. Although some chain stores or stores in some specific universities stopped providing customers plastic bags and plastic utensils, however, most of the vendors still provide those for free, and awareness for plastic problems isn't very high. According to the data, the consumption of the plastic in Taiwan increased by 22% in 10 years. Although the government expected to restrict most of plastic products by 2030, but however, there isn't any plastic restriction for most stores in Taiwan, and so it is important for Taiwanese to keep alert to this problem by ourselves. Thank you.
Great. Yes, thank you for sharing. What a great entrance into our discussion. Thank you so much. We also have Arlen. Arlen just recently joined as well. would you like to share your thoughts on this question, the third question?
Yeah, 안녕하세요. I also joined recently because of network problems. So, can I, what was the last question to answer?
Would you like to hear the question again, the third question?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Okay. Yes, of course. So in your own
Thank you.
country, is the concern for plastic high or an issue that should be dealt with at a later time, and why?
Yes, in my country we have some issues plastic that causes I think the main part of the problem causes an industry, because in my country it's cheaper to produce plastic than other places, maybe cloth or wood, because it's hard to cut wood and the sea. So plastic everywhere. Everything here is plastic everywhere. So we often use plastic because it's cheap, but it's also pays high, is very expensive for environment. It's cheap for us and have a high cost after for human, for our health and health of the earth. Yes, I seen the other place on backyard of my house. It's a big, looks like backyard. And if it was something not plastic, this wouldn't be a huge problem. But that here it's only plastic, polyethylene, microplastic, and it's hard to crush it and recycle, because it can't be burned or then reduce it by other way. Because if it was wood or paper, you can just cut them up and make something new. If it was metal, you can just warm it or make it use it for something else. But plastic can't be reduced by long way. But no, it can be reduced, of course. We have some factories but they are only in the capital, and there are only two working, and growing, making the transportation to the cities and wasting energy to reduce this plastic is too expensive. So it's just copying, and it's too big junkyard. It's keep rising. So I think this is main problem in my country. We don't know what to do with plastic. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Also, I would like to remind everyone that now that we have 8 participants, I know we have a bunch of great things to share, but if we could keep our responses to around the 1-minute mark, we're reaching the last 15 minutes of our discussion. So if we could make sure that everyone can have the same amount of time to talk. I know we're all excited and we want to share, but let's try to keep our responses to about 1 minute if possible. So who would like to share next? Open floor, anyone? How about Abe? Would you like to share your thoughts?
Of course. Like much of the world, India is struggling to dispose its growing quantities of plastic waste, from our toothbrush to our debit cards. India generates 26,000 of plastic waste as concluded by the CPCB, as known as Central Pollution Control Board in our country, out of which 10,000 tons remains uncollected. During the early 21st century, it was an issue that was supposed to be dealt at later times, but the numerous harms that this plastic waste is causing, not only to our country, but to the world, has forced our government to turn their attention to it. One such attempt was the 2016 Plastic Waste Management Rules that was implemented to improve legislation, stating that every local body has to be responsible for setting up infrastructure. Well, according to me, Swiggy and Zomato, these are two of the biggest Indian online delivery startups. They are the main reason for the impractical generation of huge plastic waste. Well, they refuse to reveal how much packaging they are using. Like many e-commerce companies and chief corporate officers have also gradually started to reduce the plastic generation from their side. But according to me, an instant ban on plastic is also worse for plastic users that will be rendering lakh joblesses. That's why I suggest plastic users should be provided with feasible alternatives, which are not costly and made aware of these options. Thank you.
Wonderful, great thoughts. Excellent. Who would like to share next? Okay, Sian, please take control.
Okay, well, I'm from South Korea, and Korea is also very worried about the plastic waste problems. The reason plastic is a problem is, as you know, it is hard to break down. Of course, the domestic scientific community is developing plastic that is easily decomposed, but in Korea, it is still difficult to commercialize it. And the issue that we should be dealt with a later time is that the agricultural products are contaminated by the pesticides and also the chemical toxic. It makes serious health problems, so that's why it is the worldwide problem and also in Korea. In addition, although many ways are being discussed to solve this kind of problem, companies are widely saying that they have no choice but to do this and use pesticides to increase the agricultural productions. Thank you.
Yes, very important to mention the role of companies. Totally agree with you. How about Minami? Could you please share your thoughts?
Yes. I think I'm from Japan, and I think plastic issue in Japan is getting more attention, but it's not really practical. For example, we are just shifting to use eco-friendly bags, like which is made of clouds or something like that. Or we're now just avoiding to use plastic stuff like bags or bottles, straws, but it's not really great practical solution, I think. So we need think more about the cause and the situation and taking more practical actions to this issue. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Inez is just now joining us again. So I think now would be a good time to move on to our next question. This might be our last question. It would be, there are young people fighting to save the earth. Many young people think that they have no power to change things though. What are your thoughts on the power of young people to make a change? So we just heard in Mr. Gillespie's presentation, the power of the youth and our potential to create positive change, to raise awareness. So what are your thoughts about our generation, young people, our ability to make change? Yes, Irma, could you please share?
To go off with, individuals creating the changes, kind of, how to say, not is a weak point, I think, because, for instance, as an individual, let's say, to lessen the carbon footprints, I start to, how to say, consume less. But I mean, the triple that I consumed, probably some people in the world was already consuming it that much. So like trying to change things individually actually, like is, I think, less than a society or more community does, because the important thing is that stopping the person that consumes triple, actually, because that will be the biggest change that will be ever making. So I think corporations and getting a lot of people, maybe true with activism, maybe true with social media and stuff, is the most, how to say, a useful way, in my opinion.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. How about Inez? Could you please share your thoughts?
I thought young people have the ideas, the creativity, and energy to shape a better world. Young people are full of hope and through innovation and imagination. They are problem solvers and have great potential to generate a positive social change in the world. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's move over to, let's see, how about Arlen? Would you like to share, please? Thank you.
For the young people, it's the same. We have some eco clubs and something like that, donation for the foresters and another, but it's like it's trying to solve problem. But these methods are dealing with the effects, like collecting the trash and trying to deliver it somewhere or pass it and trying to make it smaller. But this is still effects with dealing with the aftermath. Yes, it needs to be developed, I think.
Great, thank you for sharing. How about, let's see, would you like to share?
Yes. And in my point of view, I think the young people is not lack of power election. We have more creative cells than the adults, and we have more action force than the adults. Yes, and take some examples like impactful environmental activists like Greta Thunberg. She fought against climate change in her junior high and successfully made a change in the world. Well, but not everyone can be as brave as her, but we can do some simple methods to save energy or resources, such as taking public transport or setting the air conditioner at 27 Celsius and using environmental utensils instead of using plastic ones, and so on. Our young generations who are the leaders of the world in the future, so we must address the environment crisis as soon as possible, or we might lose the chance to change all of this. Thank you.
Great, yes, thank you so much. How about Minami, would you like to share?
Yeah, of course. I think young people, we have a lot of power to change this world, make a big change on this issue. But I believe most of them are not that motivated up to work on these problems to solve the goals, to achieve these goals. So to motivate them, to prevent these problems, we need to. So as I said before, we need to make some situations that they can feel we need to solve these problems because this is what really matters to us, and this is important. And so once they're just motivated up to work on to solve these problems, they're now good users of SNS, so they can influence a lot, and not just for the teenagers, but for all of the people all around the world. So they're really great influencers, so they can make a big change on this issue. Thank you.
All right, thank you. How about Karen? Would you like to share your opinion?
All right. I think that we young people are actually the crucial part to a better future without climate change. We we have what it takes. We're having this forum right now. We're aware of everything. We understand what's going on, and we can help out a lot in the future, as well as Minami brought up a lot of good points, and a lot of people actually over here brought up good points. We are young. We speak young people language. We we are creative. We know how to get around. We have social media. We know how to spread the word out. Not just to people of our age. We can spread it out to even people of many ages, from young kids to old people. We are the future. We know everything. We're creative. We understand a lot. So yeah, that's about it. A lot of good points are taken. So
No, that was great. Thank you, Karen, for sharing. Let's move to Abhay. Could you please share your thoughts?
Sure. According to me, young people are usually aware of the relevant issues that affect them and the world, but they wonder how to go about them. According to me, young people, the youth is fearless, they are brave, and they are self-confident. As compared to the middle generation, they have more ideas, they have more creativity, and comparatively great energy to shape a better world. They are always full of hope, and through innovation and imagination, they are the real problem solvers. I can prove this by an example that protest, initiated by students or the youth of the nation, is the most impactful one as it shakes the entire system of the government. So I henceforth state that you should be confident on the power of speech and lead the nation towards the betterment of the society. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And Sian, could you please share?
Sure. Well, as Karen said, already some good points were shared. So I'm a little bit burdened to say. Well, as Juno, is it right? As he said, I thought Greta Thunberg was a case in point. Well, she tries really hard to make positive changes for the environment, and on the other hand, there are some skeptics who still says that no matter how hard we try, the world will not change. However, as with everything, I think that one day these skeptics will also have a positive view of toward change if the younger generation builds solidarity, stirring small changes as much as possible. Thank you.
Wow, we heard some great answers. I think we covered that question very thoroughly. Great job, everyone. And for our last question, with our remaining 3 minutes, I would like to maybe have us do a one-sentence summary for the last question. So are you hopeful about the future? What are you empowered to start doing at your school or in your community? I know we probably have a lot of things to say about this, but due to time constraints, if we could maybe reduce to 1 or 2 sentences, are you hopeful? If so, please explain your answer. If not, also a quick summary of your thoughts. And let's start with, yes, Irma, please go.
Well, few sentences. If we are not hopeful about the future, who else will? I mean, so.
All right, thank you. Let's go to, let's do Inez.
Yeah, I'm so hopeful about the future, and encourage all of the students and the school stakeholder to keep the school environment clean. We can also create some project for the student for the student to have any project such as recycling, which that's thank you.
Abhay, could you please share?
Yes, being hopeful is very important, and that's why I'm hopeful that we would achieve the sustainable goals as early as possible. I'm going to take the initiative like holding some sort of campaign in my locality with other children of my society. I'm also going to participate in more of such programs and events, and will do my best to make our school students aware of the situation of the world and necessity of adapting sustainable development goals. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great that you're going to take initiative moving forward. Great to hear. How about Arlen? Please share your thoughts.
Okay, I'm here. Um, shortly, I like that eco movement is growing and become more popular because if then more people knew about this, so the bigger will become our our work. So it will be easier if we do our work together and tell more about this. I think it's main here to know and to decrease our knowledge. Thank.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. How about, could you please share your thoughts?
Yes, and yes, because if if we hold pessimistic attitude toward the world, then maybe we then we cannot change the future. And only when we are hopeful about future, then we can try to change it. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Suyan, could you please share your thoughts?
Sure. I thought the current situation is bad, but I think there will be hope if we switch to impactful choices. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Minami, could you please share your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm really hopeful for the future because from Mr. Gillespie's presentation, I could see we're just missing out on a lot of good and practical ways to solve this problem. So if we really see what we're missing out now, we can solve this problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I think our last participant, Karen, would you like to share?
All right. I'm very hopeful. It's through adversity that we find strength. We are all aware, and I'm pretty sure that we have a very bright future. Yeah.
Yes, that's wonderful. Wow, thank you guys so much for sharing. Everyone, please give yourselves a big round of applause. Everyone did a great job. Thank you so much. I think we are out of time for our discussion. It goes until 3:30. We're a little bit over. So it is time to wrap up our discussion for today. Thank you guys so much for your thoughtful answers. Yes, Irmak.
Before we kind of, how to say, gather up, like it's not about the topic, but I would be so happy if I could be in contact with all of you guys. Maybe I and with few of my friends, we want to make some projects, let's say about something about like or planet matters, or maybe if possible some exchange programs with your schools and stuff. So I'll be really happy if we could keep in contact. So maybe you can leave your email to the chat. I don't know. Like if you don't want everybody to have your contact info, you can just limit it to host and panelists if it's kind of possible.
Like, yes, I think because this is currently a public live stream, I think it would be better if you talked with the Sejong Youth Coordinator in order to get everyone's contact information. I think that would be a more secure way to do that. So if you would like to keep in contact, I would recommend talking to the youth coordinator, and I'm sure they can coordinate a way for you guys to keep in contact with each other.
Okay, so kind of mailing Sejong is a great way, you say. Then should I make it that way?
Well, I have a private email to the facilitator of the Sejong. So maybe I can contact with her, and maybe I can have some time or opportunity to know each other. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, I can be lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, great. I'm sure that, yes, the coordinator, the person who has been contacting you through this program, I'm sure they can find a way to get you guys each other's contact information. So great. Thank you for suggesting that. That would be great if we could all keep in contact moving forward, if you guys could keep in contact. So I think we are finished for this part of the Sejong Youth Forum. So I wanted to say again, thank you guys so much. You guys obviously prepared great, wonderful answers. I think we covered a lot of really detailed responses. So thank you guys so much. You did a wonderful job. And I think the goal of this whole conference is, even though we all have different backgrounds, we all live on one planet, and we all have a shared goal to protect and improve our environmental conditions. So I feel confident that as we as global citizens can create positive change and raise awareness about these pressing issues. Thank you so much for participating today. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the Sejong Youth Forum. Best of luck with your studies, and let's make a difference together. Thank you, everyone. Great job.
Oh, we thank you.
Yes, thank you guys did a wonderful job. Thank you guys so much. It was great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to leave the chat now. So thank you guys. Best of luck.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Hyunsa Son from Ajin Middle School in Sejong. It is my honor to MC the talk and presentation portion by the junior participants. 7 teams from India, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Sejong are taking part in this session. Thank you for joining us today. Now it's time to listen to their thoughts about our theme this year, Our Planet Matters. 6 teams sent us their short videos, and 1 team, JHJ, will be presenting here to share what they researched. Without further delay, let's move on to the first video.
Warm greetings to all the program participants. I'm Riya Biju from India, student of class 5 in Mount Carmel School, Hyderabad. Firstly, I would like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share my views on the current environmental issues and how we can, in our own small ways, make a big difference in saving our planet. Environmental issues include air and water pollution, soil erosion, loss of biodiversity, overpopulation, deforestation, climate change, global warming, ozone layer depletion, waste management, the greenhouse effect, etc. Some of the current environmental issues that require urgent attention. Greenhouse gas emissions are the major cause of climate change. The main gases responsible for the greenhouse effect include carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases. The burning of fossil fuels, emissions from automobiles, and chlorofluorocarbons add to the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. This has led to an increase in the Earth's temperature, causing environmental changes and global warming. Some of the actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions are using public transport to travel, as it will save money, fuel, and there will be less air pollution. Switching off the vehicle engine while halting at signal points or waiting for our turn at petrol filling stations. Avoid as much use of paper, that is, do not print unless really required. Plant more and more trees. Stop deforestation. As students, we can have tree planting programs in school at least once a month. Conserve water and electricity. For example, we should switch off the lights and fans when leaving our classrooms. Doing rain harvesting programs. Using renewable energy like solar panels and energy-saving light bulbs. Turning off computer and electronic gadgets when not in use. More use of low-emission carbon food, that is, eating more of plant-based diet or fiber-rich food instead of industrial meat, processed and packaged foods. Mismanagement of waste can cause water contamination, soil erosion, and air contamination. Proper waste disposal and management can be done by applying the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. For example, reduce food waste. While writing or making photocopies, write or print double-sided to reduce paper waste. Refill a water bottle with water from home instead of buying a new one. We can give away old clothes to the needy people. Buy products which can be reused, such as rechargeable batteries. Buy recycled paper for use. Recycling of some common items such as glass, metals, paper, plastics, cardboard, batteries, cans made of steel and aluminium, rubber, wooden furniture is easily possible. Reducing the use of plastic is essential because plastic production requires an enormous amount of energy and resources. This causes carbon emissions and causes to global warming. To reduce the menace of plastic pollution, the government of India has issued guidelines to ban the use of select single-use plastics. We as students can contribute our bit by carrying cutlery, lunch and water in steel or metal containers instead of plastic made. Avoid eating and drinking in plastic items like glasses, plates, or straws. Carry own cloth or jute bags for grocery shopping. Use non-plastic reusable containers for food storage. Create awareness by educating people on the importance of reducing the consumption of plastic. For example, by conducting rallies with slogans saying no to plastic. Even the smallest of actions can have a major positive impact on our planet. The time has now come for each one of us to act and help build a sustainable world for everyone as our planet matters. Thank you.
Her speech helped me a lot to understand environmental issues. As Ria said, we have global issues and pressing challenges such as air pollution, water pollution, soil erosion, loss of biodiversity, overpopulation, deforestation, climate change, global warming, the greenhouse effect, and etc. To reduce and manage plastic pollution, the government of India issued the guideline to ban the use of single-use plastics. Conducting rallies or making slogans like "Say no to plastic." One small action can have a Kim will present how his friends do their part and take action to engage meaningfully with the sustainable development goals in their everyday life.
Hello everyone, thank you for the opportunity. I am Fatul Isana Lakim and my friend will present about our planet matter. To reduce the negative impact of modern agriculture and pesticides that can interfere with health, then we can start by growing our own food such as vegetable and fruit. Let's plant vegetable and fruit. Grow our own vegetables. This will lead to eat healthier food. If we grow our own herbs and vegetables, we do not have to worry about chemicals on them. We know what we are getting. Yes, of course, fresher and healthier products.
Simple activities that we can do is use wastewater for watering plants.
To avoid new plastic packaging and eat vegan meat, me and my friend bring healthy food in the lunchbox.
Bring healthy food for lunch meal. I encourage my classmates to eat a healthy food. It is a great movement to environmentally friendly.
Waste management. We can do triple R for waste management. That are reuse, reduce, and recycling.
Reduce plastic bag use and choose reusable shopping bags. Fabric bags not only great for environment, but they can hold more groceries and the handles are easier on our hands. Get them in our bag by our bag or shopping list. There is no more excuse for plastic.
To reduce the negative impact on the environment caused by our daily activities, we need to sort out organic and inorganic waste. We will process organic waste into solid and liquid compost.
To reduce garbage, we can recycling reusable things. Be some creation, such as make aromatherapy candle from waste cooking oil. Tote bag from calendar. Bird box from cardboard. To promote our Planet Matter action, we can make some artwork such as wood tree, drawing, etc. And here are SD Aisyah's artwork. Simple action about no littering will help us to save our planet from garbage. Without garbage, our planet is very beautiful. Be more aware of water usage for saving water. We use less water when we wash our hair and bath. That's all from us. Thank you for listening. Bye!
Isn't it amazing how our friends from Indonesia are doing a lot of inspirational things, such as growing their own vegetables at school, eating eco-friendly lunches, reducing single-use plastic bags, and more? Do you know about their topic, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? The 17 global goals are intended to include every single person on the planet, from large governments to rural villages. Because it will take the effort of all actors working together in partnership to accomplish the urgent global challenges facing the world today. So please think about how you can do your part as a global citizen.
Hello, I'm Park So-yeon from class of Sejong
From Sejong Elementary School.
School. The topic that I'm going to present today is how to protect the environment. Then, I start my presentation now. Let's look at the ways to protect the environment. First of all, let's look at recycling. First, let's find out how to spray and discharge the mask. First, cut off the ear straps. Second, for the outside inward. Third, wrap the mask with a string. Finally, place it in a pay-as-you-go bag. Second, let's find out how to recycle plastic bottles. First, empty the contents. Second, rinse the bottle with water. Third, remove the label. Finally, screw the lid back on. Due to COVID-19, the consumption of masks and disposable product is increasing. Now that I order masks when I go out and deliver food at home. What is the way for a better future? That is the correct practice of segregation. First of all, it would be better to reduce disposable produce. But if you use them in an avoidable situation, let's participate in protecting the environment with the small practice of separator and discharging. How to protect the environment? Second, using public transportation. What would be good to use public transportation? What's good about using public transportation? First, the amount of fine that decreases due to the decreases in vehicles. Second, the bus fuel is cleaned by natural gas cars. Third, subway fuel is clean with electrical energy. There are many other good things besides that, but if you are uncomfortable using public transportation due to COVID-19, why don't you ride a bicycle or sometimes walk for a short distance? I also recommend using eco-friendly cars, such as electric cars. Do you know about the World Car Free Day on September 22nd? It is the day to use public transportation instead of horse cars. It started as a civil movement in France, but now it's a movement that everyone participates in all over the world. Let's practice using public transportation to protect the environment on this environment. How to protect the environment? Third, protecting carbon neutrality. First, to briefly explain carbon neutrality, the concept is to make the actual emissions of carbon dioxide zero by taking measures to avoid carbon dioxide as much as it emits carbon dioxide. First, if you use stairs, you can reduce the amount of carbon that comes out while operating the elevator, and since it's working out, it will burn coalesce. It's a way to kill two birds with one stone to practice carbon neutrality and exercise. And use tumblers instead of paper cups and plastic cups, recycling separately. Finally, reduce food waste, and so on. There are many other ways. So far, we've learned how to protect the environment. Protecting the environment and protecting the earth is not only a matter for adults and the government, but also for our children. In order to make our earth, we must also take responsibility and work hard for the planet and the environment. As the saying goes, every little effort of our will build up and protect our earth. Thank you for listening to my presentation so far. Thank you for listening to
using public transportation and low carbon emissions. Every day, people use face masks due to COVID-19, and it also causes enormous carbon emissions. Sejong explained concisely how to throw used masks away. I've never heard about World Car Free Day, which started in France. As she suggested, why don't we all take public transportation or ride bicycles this coming September 22nd? I was especially touched by her last message. To protect the environment is not only the obligation of adults, but young people as well. We ourselves must take responsibility to save the earth. Now let's watch a Malaysian friend Jaden Jolly's video.
Here to address global issues that affects each of our countries to ensure we can navigate yours, mine, and the next generation towards a healthier Mother Earth. On that note, I am Jaden Jolly from Stella Maris International School. Malaysia would like to bring forward an important issue that roots from the topic life on land. Before spreading the awareness of endangered species in my country, let's all know what is meant by endangered species. Endangered means near to extinction or dropping in the population of certain species, thus leaving no room for production and survival of the species. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a proud Malaysian who would like to boast that Malaysia is known for our mega diverse wildlife with more than 152,000 species of animals life according to National Biodiversity Index 2019. Sadly, due to deforestation, poaching, and illegal trade, many of our beloved wildlife are threatened. It is sad to read news with titles like Malaysia battles to save its national animal from extinction. Imagine seeing our Malaysian tiger is now becoming an endangered due to human activities. Not only our national animal, but wildlife like the black shrew, Malayan tapir, orangutan, Borneo pygmy elephant, Sumatran rhino, and Sunda pangolin are also affected. As a responsible human being, I am playing my part to save these animals. Firstly, by reducing the usage of paper, timber, furniture, and fuel wood. This is enabling the reduction in logging activities that lead to the loss of wildlife habitats in Malaysia. Furthermore, I would recommend everyone to use products that are free from animal cruelty. Choosing synthetic products like fox leather is one of the best alternatives. Besides that, we could always support cruelty-free skincare products that are in the market now.
I really agree with Jaden's opinion. We should use products and clothes that are cruelty-free. It was helpful to hear and better understand how we can protect the animals. The next participant, Song Jae-yoon from Hangul Elementary School, will talk about global warming.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Song Jae-yoon, 6th grade of Hangul Elementary School. I am very grateful for the chance to make a presentation here today. Today, I would like to talk about global warming, especially focus on what we elementary school students can do to help reduce it. Let's start with the contents of the presentation. Firstly, I will explain the definition and the cause of global warming. Secondly, I will present about the effects. And finally, I am going to suggest what we can do to stop global warming. The first chapter. What is global warming? Global warming is the phenomenon of increasing average air temperature near the surface of Earth. Like this picture, the Earth is getting hotter and hotter. Then, what is causing global warming? The biggest problem is the huge emission of greenhouse gas. As greenhouse gas concentration rises, so does the global surface temperature. And these are some causes of emission according to the UN report. Generating power, manufacturing goods, cutting down the forest, using transportation, producing food, powering buildings, consuming too much. Let's move on to the effects of global warming. Although there are many negative effects of it, I will introduce the following 3 things today. Global warming makes the Earth's surface temperature hotter. It affects climate change and melts glaciers in the Arctic. Global warming causes several storms and flooding. Such storms often destroy homes and communities and cause death and huge economic losses. Global warming is one of the biggest health threats. High temperature, increased heat-related illness, although changing weather patterns are expanding disease and make it difficult for healthcare systems to keep up. Here is the final and the main question. This is the final question. What we can do to join reducing global warming? Firstly, we reduce global warming to eat soybean bean instead of meat, like beef, pork, chicken, or else. This is because the fishes and parts of livestock are gases that several times stronger than carbon dioxide and have a strong greenhouse effect. Secondly, we can use a fan instead of air conditioner. Air conditioner consumes about 45 times more electric than a fan. Given that air conditioner contribute to rise in energy-related carbon dioxide emissions. It is much better to use a fan to reduce emissions. Lastly, we can plant trees. Trees consume carbon dioxide and release oxygen, so that the more trees, the less carbon dioxide. Therefore, we should stop ruining out trees to make cities or paper. We should plant trees to protect them and make a city green. In conclusion, we can also join in saving the earth. Small practice in everyday life can help prevent global warming. I truly believe that each small movement can change the future of our planet. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for Jaehyun's presentation. She explained what global warming is and its definition, and her final question is an important one for us to consider. What can we do to help reduce global warming? What can we do in our daily lives? Because we're still young, we have very limited options to reduce carbon emissions. But her idea for us to eat soybeans instead of meat truly makes sense, and it is a great option to help reduce our emissions. By taking small action every day, we could help prevent global warming. We can change the future of the planet. Another Malaysian friend, Amira and Novena, will present on deforestation.
To the honorable delegates, speakers, and my fellow participants. Today, we gather here to address global issues that affect each of our countries to ensure awareness is spread. On that note, I am Amira from Selamari's International School, Malaysia, would like to bring forward an important issue that roots out from the topic life on land.
Dear all, let me explain what is meant by deforestation for our better understanding. Deforestation is the full or scale removal of a forest or an area of trees. In order to clear land for human development, it can also be said as the direct or indirect induced conversion of forested land to non-forested land. Malaysia is known for its diverse plant species, where there are more than 15,000 species of vascular plants, according to the National Biodiversity Index 2019. Unfortunately, some species are declining due to deforestation. Studies have shown that a majority of lands are being cleared out for agricultural practices and cultivation purposes, as the demand for crops and food products are on the rise to meet the demand of the ever-growing population. Furthermore, urbanization gains access to these forests and the construction of roads is undertaken. Here again, trees are chopped to build roads. Another valid example would be forest blazes. Hundreds of trees are lost each year due to forest fires in various portions of the world.
How can we solve this issue? One of the ways is to go paperless, in which we can reduce the use of paper by using recycled materials that are substitutes for real paper products. For example, papers are now made of biodegradable products, bamboos and cotton. As cliche as it sounds, planting more trees is an effective measure to combat deforestation.
Amira and Novena's likely talks. Amira's well-prepared explanation helped us understand the concept of deforestation And Novena raised a good question. How can we solve deforestation? As Novena said, one way is to go paperless or reduce the use of paper by using recycled materials that are substitute for real paper products. Planting more trees is also an effective measure to combat deforestation. Now, our last participant, Team JHJ, will talk about their topic, No New Clothes.
Hello everyone, we're Team JHJ. Today I want to talk about the issue
No New Clothes.
So here is the index. Let's figure out what is fast fashion and why it causes the problem and how we can solve them by not buying clothes. Do you like to buy clothes?
Yes, I love to buy this. How about you? Are you spending too much money on new clothes that you don't need?
Yes.
Mom, I buy a new shoes today. Yeah. Okay. I buy this. No. I'll buy this one too. Oh, that's cool too. What should I do? What should I buy? I want to buy all. Oh my gosh. Mom, please help me. If you don't know your shoes, don't you know that the shoes you buy are making the planet sick?
I'm still buying things I didn't really need or sometimes even want. Do you know fast food? Famous fast food is hamburgers and chicken. Fast food refers to food that is made quickly when ordered. Not only food but also clothes we wear have fast fashion. Fast fashion refers to inexpensive clothes that they are fashionable and quickly made. This fast fashion makes so many trendy clothes that they are thrown away as much as they are. And because of that problem, nature is being destroyed. So today, we think about the problem of fast fashion and talk about how we can solve them as teenagers.
And South Korea's second-hand clothes export volume is fifth in the world. But now we're living with COVID-19, so other countries aren't importing second-hand clothes. Then, what do you think will happen to the clothes? They could be trash. But this situation doesn't happen in Korea. Ghana's capital of Accra had bad situation. At beach, there are many clothes that people don't wear, and some of them are left on the beach. But clothes become trash, but they'll stay on the beach and they'll destroy our planet. Clothes become trash and that blow around the beach. If that repeat, we won't be able to swim at the beach, or more seriously, we won't be able to live in the earth, so we shouldn't leave Earth. Then what do you think will... If you're really in need of clothes, try buying them second-hand instead and giving old clothes a new life. Second-hand clothes are often much cheaper than buying new ones, which will also save your money. Do you know an app called Carrot Market?
Carrot Market?
What is that? Carrot Market is an app where you can share things around you.
Then, is there any way to solve this fast fashion? I'd like to share 3 tips with you. First, I organize my closet and figure out what clothes I have. Then you can know what clothes you have and not buy similar clothes. Second, give out clothes that you don't wear anymore. The clothes may be necessary for someone else, and they are recycled again. This is killing two birds with one stone.
In order not to buy unnecessary clothes, it is also necessary to organize and check my clothes. I need to change my clothes. What is this? I need to clean my closet first. But I don't want to. I should do it, right? Wow, the closet is clean now. Now it's easy to buy my favorite clothes. And my favorite clothes is this. Anyway, if you clean your closet, it looks good. And you can easily find the clothes you want. So you try it too. Bye-bye.
Aha! If I find out what I have, I don't have to buy new thing.
Just remember one thing. Don't buy new things out of habit. Our planet matters.
The seriousness of fast fashion and its impacts need to be known. Let's give Team JHJ a big hand in sharing their finding with us on this important topic. We've watched participants talk and presentation from around the world. I'm so happy to learn that students are putting in a lot of effort to save our planet. I think we should start by changing our daily habits and try to do our part. What do you think? I hope all the participants with us today will explore best practices when it comes to sustainability and take action to make our world a better place for everyone. We can take action starting today, not tomorrow. Thank you.